Drop it like it's hot.
So I want this poop to fly right out of your colon and make it really easy. It should just like whoosh, just slip right out of you. That shouldn't be painful. It shouldn't be like giving birth to poo. But it's the reality, right? Like, ow, can you imagine birthing poo like that once a week? It's so common. This is why I'm making this video. Whenever you're in a rut, address the gut all the time. This is where so many people are like, yeah, let's do some hormone testing to fix your hormones. It's like, yeah, but the root cause of your hormones are your gut issues and other things going on, right? Toxins, trauma, and bugs. ABC. ABC. Easy as 1, 2. And then mindset. If you got shitty thoughts, then you have a shitty body. Your bowels are spasmed and they're just like, they're holding grudges. Kind of like a really good joint where you go. So let's move over here to the fly poo, shall we?
Drop it like it's hot.
I want you to have some fly poo. And what FLY stands for is first love yourself and our world. So I want this poop to fly right out of your colon and make it really easy. It should just like whoosh, just slip right out of you. That shouldn't be painful. It shouldn't be like giving birth to poo. Some people are telling me now that like pooping every day is about as painful as it was to poop out their baby out of their vagina. That doesn't sound very good. That doesn't sound very nice, but it's the reality, right? Like, ow, can you imagine birthing poo like that once a week? It's so common. This is why I'm making this video. So fly poo, first love yourself poo, princess poo, pink poo, yes. And it doesn't smell either, right? Because in our world, we're unicorns in our tribe and we poop rainbows and glitter and it does not ever smell. And it also doesn't leave any tracks. Maybe I'm going too far. Back to fly poo. Okay, the recommendation here is to eat real food.
Pop it like it's hot.
And I'm just gonna focus on 3 things now because I said here's, limit this, reduce this, right? I'm pretty strict on gluten with my clients. I'm like, gluten is not doing anything good for any of us. It's got lots of glyphosate, which is Roundup, and that is a mineral chelator. You need minerals to poop too. So I'm gonna talk about that as well. But gluten has a lot of things in it that just Pac-Man up the minerals that would give you the metabolism to poo. So real food, specifically 3 things: fiber, fat, and ferments. So I already talked a little bit about that. Fiber, like I said, 25 grams, 35 grams a day is ideal, and you can even work upward from there. We're looking at the good fibers. Maybe you're doing half soluble and half insoluble. They have different benefits. So split the fibers, but eat a lot of vegetables. It's pretty simple. If you just do like 6 to 8 handfuls of vegetables every day, you're pretty much meeting your fiber quota. And I always recommend like half cooked, and then half raw. Ideally, it's the spinach and the leafy greens that are raw, and then the ones that are cooked are things like the broccolis and the cauliflowers and the chards and the collards, right? Make it a little bit easier to digest them and chew them up. So lots more fiber than you're already used to. Like I said, most people are only getting about 10 if they're lucky per day. So we need a lot more bulk because fiber is the bulk of the poo that helps it get out of you. And fat. So a lot of people now have swung the pendulum over here because it's like constipation land. And they're like, eat a lot more fat, eat a lot more fat. Everybody go keto. I think keto is a neat bridge, and I think that it can help some people get to the other side, but it's not the balancing space that we want to bring you back to. It's not a long-term diet. It's something that could help you. It's kind of like a supplement diet, if you will. It's not needed for a long time period, but because we have been shamed so much and dogmatically taught to not eat fat because it's bad for us and because it causes heart disease, which is a total lie. We've already busted that myth. That fat is not something that makes you fat. Eating cholesterol is not the reason why we have high cholesterol. It's clogged arteries that is caused by high sugar intake. So that's been debunked. All of those have been debunked. If you want any of the science behind that, just let me know. I can provide you several articles. In fact, the cholesterol myth was on the cover of Time magazine several years ago. Cholesterol is actually the thing that makes hormones. If we eat a low cholesterol diet, a low fat diet, we also will have hormone imbalance. So lots of healthy fat. Each person's different how much fat. In general, you're gonna consume, I would say, about 25 grams of fat 3 to 4 times a day, 100 grams or so of fat, and every gram of fat is about 9 calories. So depending on the person, you might be getting like a third or a fourth of your diet in terms of fat. MCT oil, which is medium chain triglycerides, that's what's contained in coconut oil as an example. So MCT oil is amazing. I put it in my metabolic mocha in the morning, which is one of our most popular unicorn warrior recipes in the morning to help women get off of coffee, because coffee is very dehydrating. And so we will talk about that in the last staples that I recommend here. So ferments, and we talked a lot about that already. So eating a lot of food that has healthy bacteria in it. The kimchi, the tempeh, the kombucha, the pickles. There's a lot of things that you can get at the store that are fermented, and you don't have to ferment them yourself. A lot of times people would try to think that they had to do this stuff at home. You know, yogurt's great too, but I would recommend like coconut yogurt or nut yogurt. I eat cashew yogurt because if you're doing a lot of the dairy yogurt, that slows down your metabolism even further. Dairy slows down metabolism. Supplements.
Ain't gonna pass me shit.
Specifically, let's talk about magnesium. So magnesium is one that many people are deficient in. Why? Because we're so stressed out. So mineral is the stress hormone. So the moment that we're stressed, our magnesium starts going low in the tank. And because the average person in the world, in America today, is super stressed out, we have a huge magnesium deficiency problem. Over 90% of people now are largely deficient in magnesium, dangerously deficient in magnesium. And in fact, it has been said that it's one of the #1 causes for heart disease, other than what I would say loneliness causes heart disease, right? So mineral deficiencies like magnesium can help you poop more. Specifically magnesium citrate, if you're doing like 200 to 1,000 milligrams of magnesium before you go to bed at night, that will help to hydrate your bowels. But it is kind of also like a Band-Aid. Sometimes we have a lot of these other things going on. So if constipation is your only issue and you take magnesium citrate and you feel a lot better and you're pooping a lot better and you feel your best ever, then cool, we fixed it. But most of the time, 99% of the time, there's other things going on here too that are going to benefit you from knowing. So magnesium is important. I also like magnesium glycinate. There's a lot of different kinds of magnesiums as well. It's one of the staples in our program, but for purposes of this video and for purposes of helping with constipation, magnesium citrate will help to loosen your bowels so that you can go a lot more. Also vitamin C to tolerance. And so what we say in functional medicine here is that you take about 1 gram of vitamin C every half hour or hour to tolerance. And what that means is if you take 1 gram of vitamin C and you don't poop, then you take another gram like an hour later. And if you don't poop again, you take another gram. And if at that point you released your bowels, then your tolerance is about 3 grams. And if you felt diarrhea, then you might want to back off. And that might be your daily need. So many of us today have a poor immune system. We're getting sick often. And the way that we test that in our practice is to look at what's called a stool test, a GI map. That really helps us to dive deep, pun intended, dig deep in your shit, to take a look at your immune system function. And we do that by looking at a marker called secretory IgA. The majority of people I see are either super low, which means their immune system has been fighting something for a long time and it's like, hey, don't expose yourself to any bacteria or bad bugs because we're gonna get sick pretty quickly. Or people who have really high Sig-A, and that means that they're acutely fighting something off right now. So we see a lot of things somewhere in between as well, but most of the time our immune system is just completely shot by a lot of the stress and toxins and trauma that we're exposed to on a regular basis. So vitamin C does, yes, help improve immune health, but the root cause of why you have poor immune health is likely rooted in your gut with a lot of these pathogens and toxins that we're exposed to on a regular basis. Probiotics is really important. I already talked about probiotics. A lot of people are like, yeah, just take a probiotic, it'll fix everything. It won't. The thing is that we used to have heavy mineral soil. We used to have a lot of probiotics in our foods and our ferments, and we used to ferment things because we didn't have refrigerators. So now if you take a probiotic, yes, it's going to add more healthy gut flora to your colon, but just doing that without feeding them is not going to do as many favors as having the complete picture as I'm talking about here. And no, you do not need to refrigerate a lot of probiotics. Some certain species you do, like Saccharomyces boulardii, which will help with candida, which is one of the bad gut bugs that could be causing constipation. But again, test, not guess. let's take a look at your shit via a stool test to see if it's candida that's your problem, which is a fungus, or if it's high levels of bacteria and maybe you've got SIBO. Specifically, the methane type is one that if you have a lot of methane, and we find out what you do a SIBO test, a breath test, and you find out you have a lot of methane. That is the number one cause of constipation if you have SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth, which is bacteria that live in your small intestine and they make you bloated and they constipate you. So double whammy. Oh no! Whenever you're in a rut, address the gut all the time. This is where so many people are like, yeah, let's do some hormone testing to fix your hormones. It's like, yeah, but the root cause of your hormones are your gut issues and other things going on, right? Toxins, trauma, and bugs. ABC. ABC. Easy as 1, 2. So always be cleansing. That's what ABC stands for. And what I mean by that is like, no, you're not doing a cleanse every day. But what you're doing is you're asking your body and learning the wisdom of it. How can I support my liver? If you're not a liver, you're a dyer. So we're looking at liver love. Because if your liver is all jam-packed, like 5 o'clock on whatever freeway it is that you live close to. I live in Orange County, so I live close to the 405 and the 5. I do not want to get on the freeway anywhere close to 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m. That's what most people's bowels looks like. Think about that as your liver is backed up with toxins today. So liver toxicity is the number one cause of most diseases today. Like I could pretty much say to anybody, oh, you're struggling with X disease or X symptoms. It's your liver. People go, oh my gosh, my doctor told me that too. You're so wise, Diane. I'm like, yeah, but the liver is like the number one thing that filters out all the shit and gets it ready to push it out through the kidneys, to push it out through your large intestines, to poop or to pee, to push it out through your skin, to push it out through your hair. If your liver is not healthy, none of you is. So we really want to always be cleansing by way of thinking about what am I putting on, in, and around my body. If it's super toxic, then I don't want anything to do with it. And also, what kind of thoughts are you thinking? So mental health is very important here too. So always be cleansing and always sweat. Every day I want you to poop, every day I want you to sweat, and every day I want you to drink a lot of water and at least eat, a lot of the fiber I'm talking about. We always want to support the liver. There are certain herbs too that do support the liver. Of course, milk thistle is one that you probably have heard of, but there's lots of other Chinese herbs that I recommend in my practice too to support your liver. Saw palmetto is one of them. There's tons and tons of them. And I also recommend coffee enemas. If you want to Google Diane Kaiser coffee enemas, you will see that that's the number one thing that I recommend to support your liver, because the coffee boosts something called glutathione, which is your body's master antioxidant, and basically says, hey liver, let go, and you let go through your bowels. So if you're somebody who's watching and you were a kid and you struggle with constipation, you probably remember that your mom or dad took you to the hospital because you couldn't poo. So they artificially made you by pulling the poo out with an enema. And up until about 50 years ago, they sold enema kits at the hospital. Why aren't they anymore? Because they want you to buy a drug for it, right? Seriously. This is some shit right there. So enemas are awesome. They're powerful. They've been around for thousands of years. It's not something I'd recommend to heal your constipation. It'd be something that can support you until we find out the root cause problem by testing, not guessing. And again, reach out to us. Watch our masterclass video on the website if you click on dianekaiser.com, and you can see exactly why so many people are suffering, mainly through hormone imbalances and toxicity. I go even deeper into all of this stuff. And if you'd like to talk to us after that, you can schedule a call so we can talk about what's going on with you, what kind of problems you're having, and what kind of action plan we can put together to let this shit go.
You should think about it. Take a second.
Shadow work. That's the next one. Let that shit go. Perfect segue. Is a lot of us are holding on to a lot of memories and stories and attachments and traumas from our past. I already talked about that when I was referring to depression. We hold on. So when we start to really get complete with our past and forgive the people in our past that we're holding grudges against, like literally look at my hands. Ugh, I'm holding a grudge. What do you got in your hands, Diane? I got a grudge in my hand. Well, why are you holding on to it? Because I feel powerful if I'm holding on to it. If I let it go, I lose my power and someone can probably hurt me again. And that same thing can happen. So I'm going to hold on to a grudge. That person needs to know they hurt me and I'm never going to talk to them again. Or maybe I will, but I'm always going to keep carrying around this grudge so they know that they hurt me and they should feel hurt for the rest of their life because I feel hurt still. Well, that sounds productive. So this same thing, holding grudges, is happening in your bowels. Your bowels are spasmed and they're just like, they're holding grudges. Kind of like a really good joint where you go. let that shit go. Doing your shadow work and really having an idea of how the ego comes out to play and disconnects you from your parts, disconnects you from others because you're holding grudges and you're holding on to trauma and you're holding on to your past. When you start to let that shit go, you get complete with that. I have seen miracles happen without changing any of these other things, and people just start all of a sudden having the best releases ever. It's called shadow work, and that's integrating the fear aspects of our inner wounded child. If we were like 8 years old, we were super scared. We didn't know how to handle stress, and so we would just make up stories and we would hold on to stuff, and it shaped our ego. And we're still afraid of said thing from when we were 8 years old. So if we listen to the inner child inside of us with our fears, we can ask, hey, what are you afraid of? How can I help you? We are an adult now, and we now have the tools to heal our inner child and to self-parent our inner child so it doesn't feel afraid anymore. And it can indeed let that shit go. In a nutshell, that's what it is.
Drop it like it's hot.
Number 5 for fly poo is to run labs. Not just any standard blood test and stool test that your doctors give you. And by the way, you would have to see like 5 different doctors and have like 6 different appointments to get all this stuff done at your doctor's office. And yeah, maybe insurance will cover some of it. You're not gonna get to the root cause. You're gonna get to the surface level shit. And it's not gonna help you understand why you have constipation on a regular basis. So labs would be things like hormone imbalances, identifying those. We use Dutch hormone testing, which is a dried urine collection. We collect 4 to 5 samples in a 24-hour time period to catch the circadian rhythm of your stress hormones like cortisol. If you're low in cortisol, you've also are probably high in poop. Low cortisol, high constipation. Typically, I see that often in our practice. Lots of women who have flatline adrenals can't make cortisol very well to rise to the occasion of the stressful situations that we're around. And then also, of course, thyroid. We want to look to see what the total status is of your thyroid. Compare that with the adrenals because they get run hand in hand, and treat them together, as well as taking a look at your gut. And I mentioned a lot about inflammation, infection, and imbalances that we can find in your gut to see what's going on, why your body's holding on to so much stuff. A lot of our advanced programs, we look at your metal toxicity, how many heavy metals that you might have, as well as your mineral ratios and minerals, things like potassium that relate a lot to the thyroid, magnesium, as well as sodium, which relates to your adrenals and your kidneys. So there's a lot to explore here, and the answer is not just to take some more calcium and just to take more magnesium. It's to explore what you're deficient in rather than just throwing Band-Aids at it, and your body might not even be able to absorb this stuff anyway because you're so full of toxicity. The 6th one is when we do get your labs back, the protocol is typically a 4R protocol, which is to remove the bad bugs, and that could take a while depending on what bugs you have, and then to replace a lot of the things that you are not efficient in because those gut bugs are causing all kinds of problems, which would be things like bile, if you don't have a gallbladder especially, looking at enzymes, maybe hydrochloric acid, depending on what kind of issues you may have depending on your lab tests. So that's to replace, and then it's to start to repair the gut lining. When you start repairing your gut lining, which is your inside gut, you're also repairing everything else that relates to your gut health, like your hair, skin, and nails, your energy levels, your beauty, your booty, and your sex drive, among many other things. If you want the life, the energy, and the body of your dreams, detox, rest, exercise, awareness, mindset, and spirituality. This is the floor. This is a foundation. These are the roots that hold your tree strong. This is your soil here. So always consider detoxification because we're always exposed to a lot of chemicals. How much rest are you getting? Are you getting at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep? And is it undisturbed? Hopefully you're sleeping without getting up and having to pee or having to poo in the middle of the night. If so, it means that you're probably low blood sugar and it's waking you up in the middle of the night because your body perceives stress. You should be sleeping a solid 7 to 9 hours of sleep between like 10 o'clock at night and 6 a.m. If you're going to bed at 2 in the morning, you're probably screwing up your circadian rhythm and you're not able to heal and recycle certain organs because a lot of times, especially between 10 o'clock at night and 2 o'clock in the morning, we're healing certain things like your adrenals, your thyroid, your triple burner is between 10 o'clock and midnight. Then we're looking at the liver is 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and then your gallbladder is between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, and then it goes on from there, like your lungs, etc. If you're not getting rest during those specific times, your body isn't really healing those tissues, and you're not getting the poop ready to get the junk in the trunk out of the house. Rest, very important. And not just sleep, but also considering how much work, how much output are you flowing out during the day? Are you like boobs to the wall, like you're 12 hours a day and you're just going hard? Well, that's also not resting. You need to have a good like hour or so just to chill out during your day, make some love, light a candle, eat some healthy foods, slow the fuck down, you know, self-care, self-love, spa day, things like that on a daily basis. We talk a lot about this in our Chi program and help you build all these rituals into your day-to-day life. You know, a lot of people are like, I don't have time for that. We help you find the time and make the time. Trust me, the time is there. Exercise, movement's so important, you guys. If you're not moving, then your bowels are also not working on contraction. Those are muscles also. So things like certain squats, sumos, deep squats, you got to get those muscles moving so that they actually have the muscle contraction that they can push this stuff out. That also, the migrating motor complex is something that we look at the health of when we're looking at your stool tests. Also to see if you have SIBO, you probably have a sluggish migrating motor complex, and that's fueled by your thyroid, minerals, and many other things like gut bugs. So exercise, yes, every single day, get your butt moving, you know, 30 minutes, an hour a day, high intensity interval training, getting some weights in there, but specifically working your booty so you can let that shit go from that area. And then awareness. Awareness is paying attention to your body and being mindful of like the symptoms that your body is screaming at you. Instead of numbing them with a drug, you're asking your symptoms what message they have for you. And then working with a health coach or practitioner, functional nutrition coach, a mindset coach, a holistic health coach who really truly understands the entire body, not just a specialist in the bowels, but someone who understands the whole body and who can understand all the things that influence one another. You tug on one thread and it impacts everything. So we really want to make sure that you know what your body is speaking to you. So many of us take like a second course in, you know, Chinese, or we know other languages like Spanish, but we don't know the language of our own bodies. So we want to hand you the manual so that you have an idea of when your body's speaking, you know what it's saying and you know what to give to it to help it with whatever symptoms it's screaming about needing some love for. And then mindset. If you got shitty thoughts, then you have a shitty body. And you got a lot of shit backing up too. We already covered a lot of that. So mindset's really important. If you are addicted to shame, then welcome to the human race. But we really want to release that through some forgiveness, and then also asking the question of where did this begin? Of course, childhood, but like, go let that shit go. And then spirituality. And whatever that connection is, you have a connection to your higher self, connection to the God within you. Having a positive attitude and having some connection to the divine, that we're not just here alone, that we are all connected, that all of your parts are connected. So if you have an idea of higher self, that we are connected to a higher power, then you also will too have higher levels of connectivity within self. And so you realize that your bowels are not separate from your adrenals and your thyroid. Your mind isn't separate from your gut. In fact, those two are connecting. Gut-brain connection is so huge. So if you haven't focused on your brain and you're just working on your gut, you're not getting the big picture. All 11 systems of your body, just like 11 soccer players on a field, are all connected. They're all talking. And if you have one system that's falling, then the rest of them will crumble, and it's just a matter of time. It will pull on the first genetic weakest link after the first system that goes down, and then it goes down from there and down from there. And then you wonder like, oh, maybe I'm just getting old, or, you know, maybe it's just because my parents have it, or maybe it's just because, you know, I have a shitty husband or something like that. But no, I mean, that is one thing that, you know, you start doing enemas and you start shitting this stuff out. You may shit out an ex-boyfriend memory. Detox, rest, exercise, awareness, mindset, spirituality. That is the base of all of this. If you don't have those foundations and you start working on others, then at some point it'll keep bringing you back to this, because hydration is a part of all of this. And if you are not breathing right, if you're not drinking right, if you're not moving right, if you're not sexting often, connecting, if you don't get enough sleep, you know, these are all the most important foundational guidelines that people are forgetting about. They're simple. Some of them are even free. What if you just slept more? What if you just drink more water? And we keep hearing people go, well, you know, I gotta drink more water, and they keep shitting all over themselves. I should drink more water. I should exercise more. I should eat healthier. Well, when will should turn into will? When will try turn into I am already doing these things? So the women that come to us, the women that we work with, are not, they don't want to listen to their excuses anymore. They're ready to turn their excuses into empowerment. They're ready to turn their try into fly. And they're ready to turn their shit into shine. So, if you're ready to get rid of all of those things, the shits, the shoulds, the shames, and the sugars, this is exactly what we do in our community. I know it's a bit overwhelming to go over all of this information, but it is true. This poo, this number 2, is not just a simple take some X-Lax. It is your body screaming at you in the language of symptoms. And it is an invitation to slow down, to stop, surrender, and listen to that inner voice and ask it what it's trying to say. And I understand that that's difficult for you to understand. I get that we were not taught the language of our body. So working with a health coach, like someone like myself, will help you understand all of this, because I'm betting, if you're watching this video, it's not just constipation that you're struggling with. You probably have a myriad of these other issues. I'm Diane Kaiser of DianeKaiser.com. I created the program, Cleanse Your Body, Heal Your Hormones, Ignite Your Life, and the diet that we focus on, the foods that we provide, the recommendations of the macros and the balance is called the Warrior Cleanse. So you can learn about me on DianeKaiser.com. If you are watching this on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe. Please make sure you share this shit, because so many people are constipated. At least 20% of America, right? And it's just gonna get worse. So we have an obesity crisis, we have an overweight crisis. 2 out of 3 Americans is either obese or overweight. They are definitely constipated, not just in their bowels, but it's in the peripheral. It's in their liver, it's in their gallbladder, it's in their lymph. So we as a society need to let that shit go of toxins and trauma. I'm Diane Kaiser. Thanks again for watching. And I am so stoked to be your shit show, teaching you how to let that shit go. Comment below with any questions that you might have, and give me a like if you like this video and if it helps you. And I'm also curious, what are the top 3 takeaways that you are getting from this video and what you're going to start implementing now? Not tomorrow, not 3 days from now, not a week from now. All of there is today. And it just so happens that we want to let that shit go because your number 2 is dying to get out of you. Bye for now, warriors!